All right, let's start quietly. People always ask me why some people seem to get richer and richer while everyone else struggles. And I never start with numbers or flashy stories because that's not where the truth lies. The truth is often quiet and slow, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. The wealthy aren't doing magic tricks. They aren't seeing the future. They're not luckier than the rest of us. They're simply thinking differently, in ways that don't seem exciting, in ways most people overlook. Most of us want the big win, the instant result, the headline. But the wealthy are often thinking about decades, quiet decades. Think about this. If you saved a little consistently, invested it wisely, and avoided stupid mistakes, you would be ahead of most people in a few years. But most people aren't thinking in those quiet terms. They're thinking about what they can buy today or what they might gain tomorrow. That's the difference. It's subtle, but it matters. Patience. That's what I mean, real patience. Not the kind you read about in books, not the Instagram-style patience, the kind that comes from watching the market, watching businesses, watching people year after year. You let small advantages grow. You protect your capital. You don't panic when others do. And over time, these small advantages accumulate into something far larger than most people realize. A lot of people think being rich is about making a lot of money. But really, it's about avoiding losing money in the first place. Preserve what you have. That's the foundation. Growth is built on top of preservation. The wealthy understand this instinctively. They understand risk, not as an abstract idea, but as a force that can quietly destroy you if you're not careful. You see, wealth concentrates over time because the rich do the simple things consistently. Simple things, not glamorous, not dramatic, just quietly effective. They avoid emotional mistakes. Most people invest when they're scared or excited. The wealthy invest when the price makes sense, not when emotions run high. And that creates a huge difference over decades. It's also about knowledge, but not the kind of knowledge you get from reading headlines or following trends. Real knowledge, deep understanding about businesses, about people, about industries. The kind of knowledge that lets you see value where others see risk, or see risk where others see opportunity. That knowledge compounds quietly, and it's often invisible to outsiders. Connections matter too. I'm not talking about networking events or LinkedIn profiles. I mean real, trusted relationships built over time. People who understand you, your work, your discipline. These relationships create opportunities that most people will never see. And the wealthy leverage these connections naturally. They don't flaunt them. They let them grow quietly. Brr. Over time, these connections turn into access, into deals, into insights that the average person never even knows exist. You might think the rich take big risks, and sometimes they do, but almost always these are intelligent risks, calculated, measured, based on what they already know, not based on a gut feeling or a tip. Most people confuse risk with gambling. The wealthy know the difference. They protect themselves first. They take risks only when the potential reward justifies it. And that makes all the difference in the long run. Time is another invisible advantage. You might not notice it at first, but time works quietly in favor of the patient. Compound interest, yes, but also experience, reputation, knowledge. These things don't appear overnight. They grow slowly, invisibly, and when you finally notice them, the gap is enormous. Most people are too busy chasing the next quick win to notice. The wealthy are often doing the opposite, waiting, learning, growing quietly, and then there's simplicity. Most people think wealth is complicated. Investment strategies, business models, tax planning. They imagine layers and layers of complexity. The wealthy often stick to what they understand. Simple ideas executed consistently. That simplicity keeps them from making costly mistakes. Complexity can be dangerous if you don't truly understand it. And over decades, avoiding those mistakes adds up. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it works quietly, predictably, and that's why wealth keeps concentrating. Not because they're smarter or luckier or more talented, but because they do the right things consistently while others chase the wrong things. Behavior matters more than intelligence. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you panic, if you overreach, if you follow the crowd, it won't matter. The wealthy understand this. They control behavior first, strategy second, and it's a subtle but enormous difference. You might hear people talk about opportunity, and they often mistake it for something fleeting. The wealthy often see opportunity as a process, not a moment. They know that the right opportunity today might be wrong, and the right opportunity next year might be perfect. They wait for the right time, they don't rush, and patience isn't passive, it's active. It's watching, analyzing, learning, preparing. The wealthy aren't idle, they're quietly building knowledge, skills, and networks. Most people think wealth requires action every day, but often the right action comes after years of quiet preparation. Wealth also grows through systems, not complicated systems, just reliable systems. The wealthy create processes in their investments, their businesses, and even in how they manage their time. These systems prevent mistakes. They amplify small advantages. And over time, these systems make wealth almost inevitable for those who follow them. The shocking truth is that most people could do many of these things too. Consistently. Avoid emotional mistakes, learn deeply, build connections, take measured risks, wait for the right opportunities, use time and systems to their advantage, yet very few do. Most people are distracted, impatient, or misinformed, and that's why the gap grows quietly, invisibly, over decades. There's also an element of discipline, not flashy discipline, not forcing yourself through grueling routines, but the quiet kind, making small, deliberate choices every day, choosing the long-term benefit over short-term satisfaction, choosing not to react when the market panics, choosing to learn instead of spending recklessly. These small choices compound in ways that are hard to notice at first, but over decades, they become enormous. You can't ignore luck. But most of the wealthy understand it's less about luck and more about positioning. You can't control the world, but you can control your behavior, your preparation, and your patience. That positioning increases the likelihood that when luck appears, you're ready to take advantage of it. Most people miss it because they're unprepared or impatient. That's another quiet advantage. And it's not all financial. Wealth is mental and emotional too. The wealthy often have peace of mind. They don't chase every trend. They don't let fear or greed drive them. That emotional stability allows them to think clearly, act decisively, and avoid catastrophic mistakes. Most people underestimate how much emotional discipline contributes to wealth. Over decades, small advantages accumulate, not because someone was brilliant or lucky, but because they acted consistently, intelligently, patiently. They avoided the obvious mistakes. They let the quiet forces of time, compounding, knowledge, and behavior work for them. And when you step back, the results seem shocking. The rich keep getting richer, but it's not shocking if you understand the principles quietly at work. Most people ignore these principles. They look for shortcuts, for excitement, for instant results, but wealth doesn't work that way. It's the quiet accumulation of small, smart actions over decades, and that's why it seems to concentrate so dramatically at the top. And here's something else to notice. Wealth often produces more wealth, not because the wealthy are greedy, but because they understand opportunity and scale. They see the long-term advantage in investing in things that grow. They use time to multiply what they already have, and that multiplication is almost invisible day to day. But over decades, it becomes enormous. It's also about avoiding noise. The wealthy ignore the media hype, the trendy advice, the get-rich-quick schemes. They focus on what they know, what they understand, and what they can control. Most people get distracted by noise, and it leads to poor decisions. Over time, this difference in focus becomes another quiet but enormous advantage. And most importantly, the wealthy think in terms of decades, not months, not X quarter, decades. That perspective changes everything. Decisions that seem small today could be massive in 30 years. And most people simply don't think that way. They react to what's happening now instead of what could happen over decades. That's why wealth concentrates. It's patient, disciplined thinking in action. You might be wondering if this is something anyone can replicate. In principle, yes. In practice, very few do. The habits, the patience, the discipline, the quiet focus, it's hard to maintain when the world rewards noise, drama, and instant gratification. That's why it seems like the rich are playing a different game. In reality, they're playing the same game, but they understand the rules differently. And the difference is often invisible. People see yachts, mansions, or headlines. They don't see the decades of quiet, disciplined choices behind them. They don't see the emotional control, the patience, the knowledge compounding. That's why it feels shocking when you notice the concentration of wealth. It wasn't built overnight. It was built quietly, consistently, intelligently. So the next time you wonder why the rich keep getting richer, remember this: it's not magic, it's not luck, it's quiet. Patient, discipline, focus, long-term thinking, behavior over intelligence, avoiding mistakes more than chasing gains, letting advantages compound, using knowledge, time, connections, and systems wisely, and understanding that the loudest voices aren't always the ones creating lasting wealth. This isn't glamorous. It doesn't feel fast. It doesn't promise excitement, but it works. And that's why over decades, the results are undeniable. The rich keep getting richer, quietly, consistently, predictably. And the lesson isn't to envy them. It's to notice the principles quietly at work, to understand that small, intelligent, consistent choices matter, to understand that behavior, patience, and preparation often outweigh raw intelligence or effort. The gap grows quietly, but it's not magic. It's human behavior compounded by time, knowledge, and discipline. So pay attention, study quietly, be patient, avoid emotional mistakes. Let time work for you, not against you. Build systems, preserve capital, take intelligent risks, learn deeply. Maintain discipline, use connections wisely, ignore noise, think in decades, not days, and over time you'll see how these quiet forces shape wealth. It's not shocking when you understand it, but most people don't. Most people chase headlines, instant results, or shortcuts. And that's why the rich keep getting richer quietly, year after year, decade after decade. It's the quiet rules at work, not luck, not magic, not hype, just patient, disciplined human behavior amplified by time, systems, knowledge, and emotional control. And that, more than anything else, is the truth, the kind of truth you don. Notice until you step back and watch decades of behavior unfold. And then suddenly it seems almost inevitable. The rich keep getting richer, and now you see why. It's subtle, it's slow, but it works. And the best part is, anyone willing to think long-term and act consistently can understand these forces. Not everyone will, but understanding them is the first step, and that's really the point. Most people don't see these quiet forces at work. They chase the next big thing. They react to headlines. They let emotions guide them. The wealthy do the opposite. They observe, they prepare, they act deliberately, and over time the results are undeniable. So if you want to understand why wealth concentrates, don't look for magic, don't look for luck. Look for behavior, patience, discipline, long-term thinking, knowledge, connections, and the quiet accumulation of advantages over decades. That's where the real difference lies. That's what keeps the rich getting richer. Not flashy moves, not headlines, not excitement, just patient, intelligent human behavior over time. And when you step back and see it, it's almost calming, almost reassuring, because it shows that wealth isn't a mysterious force. It's just the natural result of human behavior compounded over time. And that's why, in the end, the wealthy keep getting wealthier, quietly, patiently, consistently, intelligently, and that's the real lesson. Now, don't mistake this for advice to copy anyone blindly. It's not about following someone else's path. It's about understanding principles, observing behavior, thinking RM, avoiding mistakes, acting intelligently, and letting quiet forces work over time. That's the truth. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it works. And that's why it seems shocking until you understand it. Then it's simply inevitable. The rich keep getting richer quietly, steadily, year after year. And now you understand why